the first question to Dr. Mikawi. What is the strategy today with the changes today in the Egyptian market from Amer point of view and also from a general point of view?
Thank you, Abdelnasser, and I'm honored to be on this panel with all my colleagues. The Egyptian real estate market is and has been a very strong market, and it will continue, inshallah. Egypt has a large population. The population growth is roughly 2.5 million per year. They need obviously lots of services, including housing and entertainment and other things. The government has embarked on a very ambitious plan to increase the footprint of where Egyptians live. Instead of being concentrated around the Nile, they started building a number of cities in the desert, further away from the Nile. These cities reach now up to 40 cities across the entire country. A lot of them are concentrated as suburbs of Greater Cairo and the various governments. And the government also started investing heavily in infrastructure, roads, bridges, transportation, especially trains, wastewater, electrical communication, and lots of initiatives when it comes to sustainability. So this has opened up the opportunity for developers to explore the various new locations and provide a variety of products. These products range from the upper class to middle and then the affordable housing, which mostly for the time being has been the government's role. And we've seen a lot of growth in the real estate industry. And obviously the real estate industry pulls along with it other major industries like construction and lots of other goods. So it has represented roughly 15 to 20% of the country's GDP over the last 3-4 years. It has employed a lot of Egyptians, especially young Egyptians, and it has provided lots of opportunities. Now, the asset classes in the past used to be mostly residential. There is now large diversity. Most of the developers have become conscious about building diverse products. At Amer Group, we started this back 20 years ago. Most of our projects have a major residential component, but along with it, there's a hospitality component, there's a retail component, educational schools and so forth, sports clubs, and also we have another arm which is the vacation club or the timeshare concept. This has helped the group weather the various storms that have come across. The biggest one started in late 2016 with the devaluation of the Egyptian pound. It went from officially 5.5 to 18, then dropped back to 15. Then followed by, we started recovering, then COVID in 20 and 21. And lately, last month with the second devaluation of roughly 15%. The problem with this second evaluation is that there's a very high inflation rate worldwide, so there's a big challenge for developers with the pricing of the construction, and especially that the Egyptian model is that you sell off plan and then build later. So these are all challenges that the industry is currently facing, and as I said in the beginning, I'm optimistic that the industry will continue to grow and will be able to weather this storm. As far as Amer, we're lucky that we have a diversity of our portfolio, and we're able to have recurring revenue from hospitality and other asset classes.
Thank you, Dr. Mikawi. From a strategic point of view, the diversification is always healthy. Moving to branded apartments and so on is a trend now in Amer, maybe extended in the market with other developers. And I think now, Dr. Hosni, from the operation point of view, what do you feel after the big changes in the market from supply, demand, and from the construction? How do you see the next the coming years?
Thank you, Mr. Abdelnasser. First of all, I want to thank all of you for participating in this summit, which allowed us to share all the updates in the real estate market and share Amer Group strategy, Amer Group situation right now in the market. The current circumstances that happen in the country, there is a lot of opportunities, we can see it. Not only threats, there is some threats that happen due to the high increase in prices, the shortage of some supplies and material. That's lead us to some increase in our prices. But there is a great opportunities, we can find it here in exporting the real estate. Actually, we found out that after the increase in prices and the devaluation that happened to the currency, we found a huge sales happen outside Egypt. So our showrooms outside Egypt started to work much more than before. There is a shortage in the materials. There is a high increase in the prices of steel and in all the materials. That's a huge threat to the group. But we can look at the bright side, that the opportunity that exporting the real estate as a product encourage us to build more and to join and do a lot of partnership with Marriott, like Marriott Residence. We just launched our Marriott Residence project, so that gave us a huge edge in the market. So actually, in the operational level, we need to stabilize the prices so that we can work properly in the market, and then we can start to see the market clear again like before.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hosni. And I think we need to see the market from an external point of view. Ms. Kristina, you are an architect. You are working in the Egyptian market and also in the Middle East market, mainly in hospitality. I want you to introduce what do you see in the Egyptian market, and also what could be the future for your business. Is it growing? Is it diversified? You want to go to other areas in the development? So if you can give an outlook to the market.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've been coming to Egypt for the last 10 years and working here, so I've really seen a change in terms of the level and quality and what's been able to be made locally. I think we have some projects here that are really challenging. I think with the rise of branded residential, this is a really key market now. I think there's a lot of people trying to develop this type of product. But from an interiors point of view, we see a lot of challenges. the architectural footprint really doesn't meet the operator's standards for this branded residential product. And there's also some of the cultural differences. Do you have a closed kitchen? Do you have an open kitchen? These are some of the things that, they may sound kind of small, but they actually affect the whole open plan type of concept that most of these more modern sort of designs are looking for. In addition, one of the other things that, sorry, this microphone's a little bit funny. One of the other things is you have municipality rules about ventilation, and where all the bathrooms need to be around the shafts. This is really kind of something that sort of also inhibits us. But one of the greatest things that I've been able to experience over my last 10 years here is that you have this amazing wealth of manufacturing. I have been to so many factories, whether small or large, from lighting to pottery to furniture to woodwork, fabrics, carpets. Everyone is represented, and I think that there's just such such an opportunity for everyone here to sort of really meet those international standards that a branded client or hospitality client is looking for. So I think there's a lot out there. I think there is still some room in the market to improve a certain product, but I think what I found here that manufacturers are able to do things bespoke. They're willing to do it. They're willing to try it. We work with some major fabric suppliers here who, did a whole lot of new designs based on what we did. We refreshed their designs. Some of the things that we saw that they were doing, and from an international perspective, we really wanted to improve on what they were doing. So, if we could slowly work with some manufacturers to improve some of their processes, whether it be color, technique, design. I mean, from an interior designer point of view, I think this is really important. So if people are willing to do that, it really overcomes some of the challenges. But definitely here, I still haven't found many people who can make good chairs. But I think Mohamed are trying to convince me that they do good chairs. But I think these are some of the challenges in what we do. And I think when you're working with international operators, whoever it may be, IHE, Accor, Hilton, and so forth, they have an expectation, and we as international interior designers, we need to meet that expectation, but also meet the needs of what the client, and the budget, and trying to make everything work together. So it's kind of a balance, but we're really trying to make it work. But I think in Egypt, there's a lot of really great sources here. Most of the projects that we work on are almost, I would say, 98% locally produced, and that takes a lot of research, and I think people who've been in this market for a very long time have been able to sort of tap into that. So, but it is difficult for international people to come into Dubai, from Dubai or from wherever around the region. These are some of the problems that and challenges, that to be able to be here, support some as well. So, yeah, from an interior design perspective, we see the market being extremely buoyant, and a lot of work to come for our industry.
This is great things, very positive. Also look to the Egyptian market, especially in this type of products. Now I move to Ayman, Sami. GLL is always a reference, a great colleague where everybody is looking always to his opinion about the market and the supply, demand, and the trend. GLL, I think, one of the first references in the Egyptian market. How do you see the branded apartment and maybe other products, other real estate products introduced to the market? Where do you see an additional gap or something new has to be introduced or a trend? Now we have seen Amer, I think there did other two developers going also in the same direction. Your input is always valuable.
Thank you, Abdelnasser, and of course the input of my colleagues here very valuable as well. I wouldn't be able to add much more on what Dr. Mikawi mentioned on the market. I think apart from one fact, that affordability has been impacted due to all the macroeconomic challenges that we had. So affordability was another angle that the developers wanted to tackle, and they wanted to differentiate themselves in the market. So one of the things that happened was that the payment plans of the residential units extended and kept extending to manage the affordability levels of the buyers. And also the unit sizes started to get smaller. The quality, as you mentioned, was another aspect that people were trying to uplift. So, and hence the competition started to become very fierce amongst developers. So one angle that they started to look at recently was introducing the branded residence, and with the stamp of the operator, that means that there are quality standards that are placed in those products that were not existing before. Some products maybe that would be like a hotel, you know, living like in an apartment, but being serviced like a hotel. So that's the angle that they're looking at. Unfortunately, we do not have live examples of finished products yet. I think this is just a sales pitch that's happening in the market now. I don't think the consumer is educated enough to understand what the implications are of buying in this branded residence. So I think there's still another education aspect that's coming in the market on that front. I cannot, disagree with the fact that this is a growing market. It's a big market. It continues to grow, and hence the demand for real estate products will continue. So I think it's all about adapting, and also, of course, I think there will be cost challenges and discussions that will come later on. But in the end, this market remains a strong market, even within the Middle East. When we looked at it in the past couple of years, when we had positive GDP growth, and all the other markets around us were in the negative territory, including the global markets as well. So yes, I think hotel operators are interested, and we see them that they're visiting Egypt a lot. They're signing new agreements with developers. So it is a market with huge potential, especially with the opening of the new capital that's coming soon, and more coming to new Alamein cities and the other cities, of course, that Dr. Mikawi had highlighted all around Egypt. So yes, it is definitely a very promising market.
Thank you, Ayman. It's a very promising market, and also it's a market with a lot of changes, a lot of challenges. I think last month we have, if you ask what is the biggest challenge, everybody will talk about cost first. Last few days, cost is the key word where everybody is challenging now, and I think Hill International Waleed, Dr. Abdelfattah can tell us more about the involvement of Hill in national projects, in private sector, and the international project manager they may have or can give us an answer. We need an answer for the challenges in the coast, which is our main challenge these days.
Thank you, Abdelnasser. I think you just gave me the best question today. Challenge in the coast is, I don't think it just happened over the last couple of weeks, but has been ramping up over the few months about the supply chain and material requirement from developers, from contractors around the place. Here, we are being involved in various infrastructure, hotel, healthcare facilities, and different, basically, transportation around Cairo and Egypt in particular. It has been very obvious that we have great market, we have a lot of opportunities. As everybody said, the demand is in this market is real, and I think what the ambitions of the government and the vision ongoing now have even made this market more attractive. But of course, this is all comes with the regular challenges, which is the available resources, number one, in terms of the qualified resources, equipment, and then after we just passed the COVID, or just trying to recover from the COVID, we came throughout some financial facilities issues, and now the latest fluctuation of the rate. But I think the market has become mature now, and I think we can be able to overcome this based on the lesson learned from 2016. And I think the government and the clients have become also mature to that they have reacted in understanding way how this will be dealing. And I think the first positive message came from both government and clients that they look into it, which is the opposite to what happened in 2016 when everybody was in the beginning denying the fact that there is an issue. Now everybody realized this, and I think through the learning curve that happened before, this is showing that the market will recover it and will come over it. And I think with the new financial facility coming into to Egypt now, we'll continue to do it. And I think also our progress rate on all the government monorail, the light rail, all the facility, the new capital, the new towers in Alamein, and Asr Aini, Plasma, the stem cell, and the new ports in Alexandria. This shows positive signs, and will continue the market. And I think we became much more mature now as a market to overcome the current and the coming challenges.
Thank you, Waleed. I'm not satisfied yet by the answer. I think we have to give a range of figures about how big would the impact of in the cost. Yani give us an indicator, not very diplomatic one.
Okay, I think this shouldn't be quoted as anybody claims that gonna come for the clients. So nobody gonna record this and say. I think the obvious one is the exchange rate, which is I think around the 15%. Again, it's gonna be a combined with the lack of material and supply chain, because some of the material are not available. This just goes together with a general inflation happening. It's going to be a combination of everything. I don't think somebody have the magic formula yet. Next time we go into a panel, make sure that you don't ask this question. No, I think it shouldn't be the most important one is there is an understanding from government and clients, and I'm talking about the major clients, that there is an issue. It took us almost a year in 2016 that they realized that there's an issue, and nobody actually recognized it. Now everybody recognizes it. How it's going to be calculated is something we are working on very closely with both government and private sector to reach a satisfactory and balanced forward.
Thank you, Waleed. I believe it was a difficult question, but it's needed. Dr. Mikawi, again, I think from the strategic point of view, Amer has a big history in a diversity of products. But from your point of view on a strategic side, how do you see new trends? What could be the new trends in the Egyptian market? We have to move from the classic formula of selling residential or only commercial. What kind of innovation can have in new products from your point of view?
As I mentioned in the beginning, I think it's healthy to have this diversity. The education sector and the health sector are definitely in need for more facilities. So at Amer Group now, we concentrate that all our projects have these components. The health sector is growing and is attracting a lot of international investors. So is the education, if it's schools, international schools, and also universities. So a lot of universities are being built, and there's a great demand for education, especially, and it will increase, especially that Egyptians spend a lot of their disposable income on educating their kids. Quite a few of them used to send their children to universities overseas with the difficulties in travel with the exchange rate, the Egyptian pound losing value. I believe there will be an increased demand for international education in Egypt with prominent universities, and we see this trend, and we would definitely are looking at these areas and going to spend and invest in these areas. Going back to the branded apartments, it's a trend where our customers are becoming more sophisticated. They expect more of the product, not a simple product. They want to guarantee some level of quality and standards, and that's why Amer Group went with Marriott as a major brand. We believe that this will be a trend that will continue, especially in urban areas. We picked our first project in Heliopolis. Heliopolis has always been an affluent area, but a lot of its residents started to move to the outskirts, especially to New Cairo. But we believe that when they find the quality that will be offered with our branded apartments through Marriott, we believe quite a few of them will decide to continue to live in Heliopolis. The location is great. It's 5-10 minutes from the Presidential Palace, Heliopolis Club, airport, and 10 minutes to this hotel where we are in New Cairo. So you get the convenience of living in an urban area at high quality and all the amenities that can be offered through the Marriott brand.
Thank you, Dr. Mikawi. Dr. Hosni, I think you mentioned that you are opening more sales to foreigners out of Egypt. I think with the devaluation it will be much more attractive. Are you going to have bigger plans and go to more countries, opening more after? I think now we have a very attractive prices if we talk about selling in dollars.
Actually, yes, we already set a plan to open more showrooms in Gulf, in actually all the 6 countries in Gulf, and we are expanding it to include more countries. We think we'll have a huge opportunity over there, especially when we sign with Marriott residents. So we have a branded residence which they trust the name. Marriott will add a lot to Amer Group, definitely. So we have a luxurious product right now in Amer, and we are trying to add more projects, more branded residence projects inside Cairo, inside Heliopolis. We can call it the old town in Cairo right now. We believe in the project, and we believe that we will do something great over there. And regarding as Dr. Mikawi mentioned, we are opening more business lines other than the real estate sector. So we are focusing right now on the education business. So we are adding schools, universities in our projects. And we are focusing on the timeshare or fractional ownership, which allows us to have a ticket price lower than the real estate, and still the client can enjoy his vacation with lower cost.
Thank you, Dr. Hosni. Miss Kristina, I think as designer, your role come after the developer put his brief. But I think it's always helpful when the designer give his input inside the brief or to the developer to put more innovation, what could be new in the design, not only to the standard of the operator, but also to the expected level and the innovation plan. And there is always something always new trends, new designs, new ideas to implement. What do you see in the Egyptian market in this direction, in this area?
Just from a design point of view, I really see that there's possibly a shortage of maybe lifestyle type hotels, or even great F&B with international names. I think when we work with various clients, they have a very prescriptive requirement, but we're able to adjust that from a design point of view. But each brand has so many brands under them. Whether it's lifestyle, or whether it's resort, or whether it's urban, or 3, 4, 5-star, everything has its own requirement. But I think keeping up to the trends in terms of technology, it's really important. Everyone's always looking for that wow factor, something to bring people back to that location. I think F&B is really important in this aspect. Some really good chains that are around the world, people who are affluent enough to have travelled, who have come from London, may want to see that same brand over here. So I think there's an opportunity for that to also take place in a market like Egypt. I think you've got such a diverse range of people here. Everyone's looking for something different, whether they can afford it or not. There's something for everybody. So I think in that respect, but definitely, we're always given a brief. I think we always like to challenge that brief with the client. The way we actually tackle our projects is really looking at, who is the target market of that place, that location. Why are people going to that place? So we always try and twist it. But, today's age, imagine not having free Wi-Fi in your hotel. I mean, that would just be kind of sacrilege. But in addition, I think one of the other things, we see here today with some suppliers looking at different hardware technologies, all this type of thing, people are looking at that. And we have to be at that forefront all the time. And I think, such a big younger generation here, everyone's looking for something easy, something that they can do on their phone. And I think, I don't know, maybe some of the projects here will be starting to be, touching on the metaverse. And these are these new topics people are talking about. So I think there's a lot to come from different perspective and from design and working with various operators. But it's really great. We get a great broad when we're able to, a great outline of, who's doing what, how they're doing it, how their approach is. And I think for us, it's always trying to make things better. Always that customer experience is really important. And, I can't stress on that as much as I can now. It's so important in terms of what we're working on, that people are going to really enjoy where they are and they come back. It's always, having people come back. So I hope that sort of answers a little bit.
I was talking about innovation. As a designer, and you are working with a supplier or manufacturer, I think the designer has also an input on how to increase or add something to the design itself, like especially in interior.
Especially for hospitality, yes. We do bespoke.
In carpets,
yes,
you put your own, or the designer play a role to enhance the product.
Actually, every project we work on, we are always asked to create a story. What is the narrative? What is that hotel going to be about? So we don't, I hate that Pinterest. Everyone looks at Pinterest and it's one of my pet hates. But actually, we're always asked to research the culture of the place, the physical aspect of the place, as well as, the social aspects of the place. So we look at these elements and then we try and create some sort of a story for our projects. And these elements actually allow us to be more creative and allow us to be more bespoke. Every operator or every client wants something different. They don't want to copy what someone else has done. So it's really important that we're always innovating, we're creating something new, we're making our suppliers really think about what they're actually providing as standard product or what they can do. So if we can do that and create that bespoke product, very specific for a project, I think it becomes more successful and it gives it its own identity. And I think these sorts of innovations we're always looking at, whether it's designs for carpets, but we don't ever want to repeat that design again in the next project. So it's very important to be bespoke, but look at trends and look at the market and look at the people who are actually going to those locations.
Thank you, Kristina. Also, the designer is looking for an entity, new entity for each project.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, absolutely.
Yes. Ayman, I don't want to miss this opportunity to know more from JLL, as I said, a reference in the market about your expectation about new trends, new ideas in offices, in lifestyle. You know the market for sure, and you publish your statistics and some ideas about the trend. What is your advice about the expected trend in the coming years in this challenging phase?
Well, that's a very good question, similar to what's the cost going to be like next month.
Still, I will add another one to Waleed.
So yeah, and I also like what Kristina touched upon, that when it comes to designing the place, I think the first thing is to understand your market. If you don't understand the market, then you can design a very good designer, but you might design the wrong product. The unit sizing might be wrong. So first thing, I think the first stage is to really understand the market, where the demand is, as you mentioned. Where is the demand for residential? Is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom? So that will give you the component mix of the project before you actually start to design it, and who are your clients, so that you design something that is appealing to them. And I also like the part that you touched on F&B. Yes, F&B is moving to a different level in Egypt. F&B and entertainment is actually the driver of people going to the shopping centers or the communities that they go to. Even within compounds, the amenities that are being placed is to actually increase the traffic and the dwell time within those compounds. So creating a vibrant community, not just building houses without the services around them. So basically mixed-use products work quite well when you have your offices, and offices becomes a different story as whether people are going back to the offices, because that's what we've been discussing for the past 2 or 3 years. Even before COVID times, people were discussing hybrid models, hot desking. So the usage of space in the office became less and less. Going forward, are we going to continue going back to the office 100%? I think the global view is it's not going to happen. We will continue with this hybrid model between working from home, working from site, working from cafes, working from everywhere. So even, I think the design of the whole city has to change, not only your office, to cater for that. And I think when you said Wi-Fi, is not only in the hotel, but Wi-Fi everywhere, I think is very important. So take a free Wi-Fi. Just gonna pay for it. So yeah, and so that's coming to retail. Hospitality, of course, will look different. Residential will look different. I think the government is already building new cities. Sustainability, of course, becomes, with the lack of energy, lack of resources, sustainability is going to become a very important angle. Not only because we need to save, but also because all the global multinationals are moving in that direction, and it is a directive that they have to start working in that direction soon. Starting from 2030 onwards, I think you're going to see a big change in the sustainability scene. So I think that covers most of the aspects. So just make sure that we cover our cost and revenue. I think this is the biggest challenge for the coming discussion. Cost and revenue, how to make money, is the biggest challenge for developers. But I think if you manage it the right way, with having the right professionals like my colleague here, then I'm sure you can fix things going forward.
I wish the report coming, the quarterly report coming from JLL to be much bigger with more information. We all wait for it, and we are eager to know more information and the trends from your side. Okay? Promise? Again, to EL International, Waleed, I will not pose any question now, but I want you to give, you know that there is a lot of new players coming to the market in the private sector. I'm not talking about the governmental projects, but a lot of new players coming to the private sector. What is your advice with all these challenges, experience in everything? I think we need new players, but what is your advice to the new players?
I think for new players, it might be a bit easier if they're still on a green field, because now they can quantify the challenges before they start. So they need to basically read the market, see the real demand, and see what sector they need to basically attract. The market here is real, and it's not based on speculation. There is a real demand that actually happening and increasing every year. And some of the guys come from outside said usually it's what happening, the increment every year here is like a small new country happening every year. So you need to know the market, study it well, have your right brief, have the right professional around you, make sure that you really understand the market. There's a lot of local material, local resources available that can help you out now in enhancing your cost and estimates. And if you had some good design and design management during the design stage, I think you can achieve the formula that makes the project still profitable and bankable, basically.
Thank you, Waleed. It's nice to end by an advice, and this was very good from your side to go to the experience and looks for the professionals. I want to thank the panel for their input, rich discussion, and thank you for answering these questions. And I wish we will have very soon in the Egyptian market much more to discuss and much more to encourage people to think differently and innovate and come closer to this real market. As Waleed said, we are not a speculation market. It's a real market. We have market fundamentals, and I wish we come to be developed as fast as we all hope. Thank you, everybody.
You're a very good designer, but you might design the wrong product. The unit sizing might be wrong. So first thing, I think the first stage is to really understand the market, where the demand is, as you mentioned. Where is the demand for residential? Is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom? So that will give you the component mix of the project before you actually start to design it, and who are your clients, so that you design something that is appealing to them. And I also like the part that you touched on F&B. Yes, F&B is moving to a different level in Egypt. F&B and entertainment is actually the driver of people going to the shopping centers or the communities that they go to. Even within compounds, the amenities that are being placed is to actually increase the traffic and the dwell time within those compounds. So creating a vibrant community, not just building houses without the services around them. So basically mixed-use products work quite well when you have your offices, and offices becomes a different story as whether people are going back to the offices, because that's what we've been discussing for the past 2 or 3 years. Even before COVID times, people were discussing hybrid models, hot desking. So the usage of space in the office became less and less. Going forward, are we going to continue going back to the office 100%? I think the global view is it's not going to happen. We will continue with this hybrid model between working from home, working from site, working from cafes, working from everywhere. So even I think the design of the whole city has to change, not only your office, to cater for that. And I think when you said Wi-Fi, is not only in the hotel, but Wi-Fi everywhere, I think is very important. So take the free Wi-Fi. It's going to pay for it. So yeah, and so that's coming to retail. Hospitality, of course, will look different. Residential will look different. I think the government is already building new cities. Sustainability, of course, becomes with the lack of energy, lack of resources, sustainability is going to become a very important angle. Not only because we need to save, but also because all the global multinationals are moving in that direction, and it is a directive that they have to start working in that direction soon. Starting from 2030 onwards, I think you're going to see a big change in the sustainability scene. So I think that covers most of the aspects. So just make sure that we cover our cost and revenue. I think this is the biggest challenge for the coming discussion. Cost and revenue, how to make money, is the biggest challenge for developers. But I think if you manage it the right way, with having the right professionals like my colleague here, then I'm sure you can fix things going forward.
I wish the report coming, the quarterly report coming from Chair to be much bigger with more information. We all wait for it, and we are eager to know more information and the trends from your side. Okay? Promise? Again, to Will International, Waleed, I will not pose any question now, but I want you to give, you know that there is a lot of new players coming to the market in the private sector. I'm not talking about the governmental projects, but a lot of new players coming to the private sector. What is your advice with all these challenges, experience in everything? I think we need new players, but what is your advice to the new players?
I think for new players, it might be a bit easier if they're still on a green field, because now they can quantify the challenges before they start. So they need to basically read the market, see the real demand, and see what sector they need to basically attract. The market here is real, and it's not based on speculation. There is a real demand that actually happening and increasing every year. And some of the guys come from outside said usually it's what happening, the increment every year here is like a small new country happening every year. So you need to know the market, study it well, have your right brief, have the right professional around you, make sure that you really understand the market. There's a lot of local material, local resources available. It can help you out now in enhancing your cost and estimates. And if you had some good design and design management during the design stage, I think you can achieve the formula that makes the project still profitable and bankable, basically.
Thank you, Waleed. It's nice to end by an advice, and this was very good from your side to go to the experience and looks for the professionals. I want to thank the panel for their input, rich discussion, and thank you for answering these questions. And I wish we will have very soon in the Egyptian market much more to discuss and much more to encourage people to think differently and innovate and come closer to this real market. As Waleed said, we are not a speculation market. It's a real market. We have market fundamentals, and I wish we come to be developed as fast as we all hope. Thank you, everybody.